I haven't had time to stop to think about whether I missed things or not.
Okay. So how's life on the other side?
Not too bad.
Johnny, give me a signature. So Warren.
Who you arresting? Hey, hold on 1 second.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Good. How's things? Truthfully, I never really, except when I talked to not think I really took advantage of the happening Fridays as much as I could have, plus nothing ever happens in the next day. I was much busier during 3 hours than 4 hours of one here versus a full day, Kind of. Yeah. He's working. He's gonna. I think he's gonna.
Did you hear it, Ryan? We're getting a magician.
Switch over.
Oh, I knew that motion. Is that too much?
Will you call the meeting to order, please? Everybody, please rise for the prayer. Dear God, today as the session opens, we pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in this decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which will be for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessings on all those who are working to transform our city and make it a better place to live and work. Amen. We'll now salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all. Thank you. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Counsel Cirillo. Counsel Conway.
Here.
Counsel Elliott.
Here.
Counsel Kennedy.
Here.
Counsel Leahy.
Here.
Counsel Mercier.
Here.
Counsel Milonazo.
Here.
Counsel Noon.
Here.
Mayor Samaras.
Here.
8 present, excuse me.
Thank you. Do we have any moments of silence? Well, first of all, I'd like to welcome Councilor Mercier back.
Thank you so much. It's great to be back. Thank you, dear Jesus.
It's a heck of a way to spend a vacation.
Thank you for the Lowell Fire Department for bringing me back. And the EMTs, we have great people in this city that do a remarkable job. And we don't really know that until it happens to you, so I'm very grateful. We have good people working in this city. Thank you so
Well
much.
said, thank you. Our first business tonight, under Mayor's business, is a proclamation to have Henry Marchand be named the city magician. And I believe that was a motion by Councilor Leahy. Oh, Councilor Noon. I'm sorry, Councilor. Would you like to say anything, Councilor Noon?
Councilor Leahy, correct. That was part of the trick. I'm pleased that, because Henry performed, every Merry Christmas to all those children, their families. Why not? This actually will raise his profile. Maybe he can book, in a bigger venue. But tonight, if possible, I just want to see maybe Henry prepared to do a trick for us. Just one trick. Congratulations, Henry.
Henry, welcome.
This is a wonderful honor, and hopefully if I could bring a few smiles to the council meeting tonight to start things off, I'd be very happy. People have said, have you been on Penn and Teller? This is better than Penn and Teller. I do have a little something. If you'll indulge me, I apologize for those. And some of you may have seen this before, but people often ask me how I got started in magic. So I created this little effect to kind of explain it in a fun way, hopefully. I performed my first magic trick when I was 14 years old. It was in my parents' house, and it was in the living room. It was a cloudy day, the hint of snow in the air. There were about 12 tired family members sitting about the living room after a heavy Christmas dinner, kind of in a stupor, waiting for the show to begin. I stepped up, and this was the first trick in my very first show. I took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 playing cards. Amazing. I removed one of those playing cards, placed it in my pocket. Incredibly, I still had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 playing cards left. Well, the audience was so amazed, so astounded, they rose from their sleepy state, they pumped their fists in the air, and they screamed all as one, "There's a lot to like about Lowell." Why they said that, I'm not sure. But it's my fault, I'm sorry. I should have mentioned earlier, this is an audience participation trick. So let's try it one more time, shall we? I performed my first magic show when I was 7 years old. It was in my future in-laws' house. What I was doing there, I have no idea, but it was early. There were about 50 family members and friends gathered about the living room, a few future wedding party members. A light snow had been falling all day. I got up. This was the very first trick in my very first show. I took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 playing cards. I then removed 1, 2 of those playing cards, placed them in my pocket. You know what's coming. Incredibly, I still had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 playing cards left. Well, the audience was so amazed, they were so astounded, they pumped their fists in the air, here it comes, and they all screamed together,
There's a lot to like about
Henry. Henry or Lowell?
Somebody's not listening here, with all due respect. Well, that wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I'm kind of feeling the love. Let's try it one more time, shall we? I performed my first magic show when I was 3 years old. It was in this very chamber. It was Christmas Day. Again, why everybody was here on Christmas Day, I don't know. A blizzard had been raging all day. The weatherman was predicting 3 feet of the stuff by the end of my sold-out performance. Yes, sold out. The balcony was full, overflowing, the orchestra here, the seats. Everybody was a paying audience member. I stood up. They wheeled me out from the cloakroom, stood up in my crib in my little formal magician's pajamas with little footy feet. And this was the very first trick in my very first show. I took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 playing cards. I then removed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of those playing cards, placed them in my pocket, and yet I still had 1, 2, 3, 4, yes, 5 playing cards left. Well, the audience was so amazed at such a precocious 3-year-old that they all pumped their fists in the air and they screamed all as one.
There's a lot to like about Lowell Fire Department.
One more time.
There's
a lot to like about Lowell.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the honor.
Oh,
Been
that's
great. And I look forward to the mayor and the manager's holiday reception if you'll have me back. Thank you.
Well, Henry,
Beautiful.
just stand there. We have a proclamation, but before, somebody gave me a statement that I should read about magicians. They say that magicians are the most honest people in the world because they tell you they are going to fool you, and they do it.
We lie
So
all the
with
time.
that, we have a proclamation. City of Lowell, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, by His Honor William J. Samaras, the Mayor, a proclamation. Whereas, prior to his current role, Henry the Magnificent Marchand has had a distinguished professional career in Lowell with roles at the Lowell Plan, UMass Lowell, and as the assistant to the city manager, where he was known for making problems disappear. And whereas, as the City of Lowell Director of Cultural Affairs and Special Events, Henry has been known to have a few tricks up his sleeve, and his hard work on the many festivals in the city often involved pulling a rabbit out of the hat. And whereas Henry the Magnificent has enchanted and entertained audiences of all ages at local events and charitable causes, including performances at UMass Lowell, Sanger Center, Lowell Spinners Game, Lasher Park, and as annual staple of the City Hall Holiday Open House and Reception. Now therefore, I, William J. Samaras, Mayor, do hereby proclaim Henry Marchand as the City of Lowell's official city magician and congratulate him on this truly magical honor, given this 8th day of October 2019. Henry, you deserve it.
Do you have any of those smoking things when you throw on the ground? Better you're the motion maker, you should get it down. I can't see you. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Thank you, Henry. Next, we have the minutes of the City Council meeting of October 1st. Need a motion to accept them and place them on file by Mr. Conway, Councilor Conway, second by Councilor Noon. It's too early for the general public hearing. We go to communications from the city manager. First motion response is the Burnham Road trash by Councilor Mercia. Councilor Mercia.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm very thrilled that the city is aware of this, and this dumping is quite prevalent in the hot summer months. A great portion of the dumping is in Tewksbury as well, but access is from the end of Burnham Road. So if we could probably, I'll bring it up again next year when the weather gets hot, because a lot of activity is going on down there. I wouldn't know that. I do see cars go, but I don't know where they're going. I don't live right to the very end, but I keep track of it with the lady that lives down the end of the street. She'll let me know. But in the meantime, thank you for knowing that it's there. And I'm understanding that some people actually did go down there and clean it up, and I think it was Councilor Leahy and his son and his son's friend. So thank you very much for that. That was really nice to do that. I really appreciate it. Thank
There's a
you.
bike down there now if you want to ride that out.
Madam Manager?
Thank you. And I did mention it last week, Counselor, that Jack Leahy and his friend Sean Sullivan did go down because I received a very nice letter from the woman
Yeah.
who lives on your street. And what did happen is when DPW or Inspectional Services got there, it had already been cleaned, so they were right on the matter. So, but we will keep it on
Thank you so
in
much.
terms of checking up on it.
Thank you, John. That was wonderful.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, next we have Hurd Street status, a motion by Mr. Council Conway. Council Conway?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Diane Trod, if she could come up and answer a few questions.
Diane?
Excuse me, a number of people brought this forward with me and asked me to take a look at it and see about the feasibility of utilizing that space because, keeping in mind we have a lot of projects, many of these projects run into a tremendous amount of money. And I think everyone here, I'm sure, has taken a tour of the police station, and it's in deplorable condition. I think in most instances, it would probably be condemned, that building. And I don't think employees should be exposed to something like that. So that's why I brought this up, to take a look at it, because I know it's going to be vacant, and I hope that if we don't utilize that as a police station, that we certainly should be able to somehow get our hands on that and we utilize it for another department. Just a couple quick questions. Where they were talking about the new police station going forward in the next couple decades, that it would be in the vicinity of 138,000 square feet. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. Okay. And this facility on Hurd Street would be somewhere in the 47,000?
Correct.
Okay. What is the present square footage over there in the police station that we have now presently? Do you know?
Actually, I don't know offhand. Sorry. I do not
Okay.
know. I can find that out for you, but I don't.
Yeah, would you, I'm just wondering if the 138 is a lot more than what we have over there in that facility. And again, the same thing, same type of question too, as far as the spaces are concerned. If you could just get some information on that, because, excuse me, it seems as though that let me see if I get this straight. We have a capacity right now of 90 parking spaces on Hurd Street. And how many do we have over presently in this police?
300 and I think 64 is what 345 spaces
We
is
have
what we would need.
344 spaces over there now?
That's what we need.
We need. How many
Yeah.
could you get that answer to us? How many
Sure.
do we have over there presently, please? And again, I want to thank you for the report. I really appreciate that. And I know that we've talked about this before when I put the motion on, and I discussed it with the city manager, perhaps that, what's the feasibility of us acquiring that building?
Madam Manager?
Thank you. Through you to the council. Thank you, Councilor Conway. I mean, this is a good motion that we've been exploring with DCAM, and for a number of months have been over there assessing the property. As you point out, it's an important piece of property, and so we do want to thoroughly vet the feasibility of any future use there for the city of Lowell, whether it's for a police station or any other municipal use. So we've one of the key issues is, of course, cost, and so DCAM is moving forward with an appraisal of the property. And then the other one is to make certain that whatever need would allow us to take down the existing building. The existing building is in very poor condition. One of the reasons, obviously, that the trial court's abandoning it and moving out. And the configuration of it is not conducive for any reuse for municipalities. The police have been through it a number of times, and it is too small. I was just, back in 2015, there was a needs assessment done for the police facility. So that's where that 138,000 square foot figure comes from. But we've just looked preliminarily at the possibility, and again, cost is always a factor, but if this piece of land was available and the city were able to acquire it and use it even on a temporary basis for parking or something, but we've looked at the possibility of perhaps a higher rise facility there on the footprint. That would be, an attractive headquarters for the police department in the central district, maybe a garage built behind to accommodate cars. So these are just very, very preliminary, 50,000 feet looking at this project. So, but first steps are to see what it is that the Commonwealth would need to receive and start negotiating with them about that, while we also make certain that we'd have complete flexibility in terms of taking the building down if necessary.
I'm glad that we're being proactive so that we can perhaps utilize that area, that building, and save some money in the long run. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you for the report.
Councilor Noon?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Madam Manager, you have met with DCAM a few months ago, is that correct?
We've been meeting with DCAM, correct.
Are they entertaining an option of, if they will give it to the city, will they entertaining us taking it down for possible?
So, their process requires them to have the property appraised.
Right.
And then they will have discussions with the municipality, with us, as far as what they would need. And they're very interested in talking to us and working with us. As far as outright gift, they haven't offered that yet, but they usually get some fair market value, some portion, some percentage, not 100% of fair market value. It's usually a negotiated percentage of the overall appraised value. So they are proceeding to do that, and as I said, we have been working through the issue of being able to take the building down.
I do understand that. I think the possibility of having a police station there, I know that the parking there is maybe between 45 parking spaces, but you can choose the parking lot across the street from it. So that would be a great location for it if the feasibilities come back and the appraise by the DCAM is cheap enough for us to take it, and the cost associated with building a new police station there would be a great thing for the city of Lowell.
Yeah, to have the opportunity to acquire real estate or property right in that location is rare, and so we certainly want to explore and make certain we're considering every option.
Thank you, Madam Manager.
Councilor Maldonado?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Once DCAM declares the property surplus, do they still need to offer it to the private sector before they offer it to
No,
municipalities?
they need to offer it to the state.
Okay.
State agencies, in this case, the university, the Middlesex community, or any other state agency. There is no state interest, so then they next come to the municipality.
Okay.
And then if there's no interest by the municipality, they would then proceed to offering it to the public. So that's where we're at in terms of their working with us as far as our interest.
Thank you.
Councilor Elliott?
I think this is timely, and it's good to know, Madam Manager, that you're working on this. What is the expected time that the trial court will relocate to the new judicial building in 20?
We actually have a meeting next Friday on that, but what we've been told is that they expect to complete the trial court building by the end of this year or beginning of 2020, and then they will start phasing in the moves from the various courthouses, both here in the city and in the courtrooms that are going to be moved from Cambridge and other locations up to Lowell. We don't have that exact schedule, but we have gotten an estimate that will probably be, completed in the spring of 2020. So as far as when they actually will leave the courthouse on Hurd Street, it could be anywhere from the winter to the early spring. But we should get a more definite schedule. As I said, we're meeting with DCAM as well as the trial court. So between the two of them, once the trial court moves out, then it's up to DCAM to say that they're through with the building.
But you raise another issue because then there'll be the Superior Court, another.
Correct.
In my opinion, prime piece of property right off the connector. What is the zoning for both of these pieces of property?
In terms, I don't know if Erica, we can get that.
Yeah.
The Superior Court is going to pose some challenges because it is historically protected.
Right.
And especially the older portion, the red brick portion behind. And that Mass Historic, we expect will protect that it cannot be taken down. Eric, do you know offhand the zoning?
So Hurd Street is in the downtown mixed-use district. That wouldn't preclude any municipal uses of the property, but if it ever got to the private sector, that would dictate what could be put there.
And what about Gorham Street?
That I'm not 100% sure about.
We can look into that. I know some of the other courthouses that have been abandoned, Worcester, for example, was left vacant for quite a while, but it is being converted to housing now. And it's a similar kind of older property, so.
Okay. Well, I think the report again is timely. I think it's, it could be an intricate part of the economic development and at the same time satisfy some of the municipal needs, both pieces of property, and it'll be good to know what the state's plans are, i.e. university or otherwise. Could be a significant impact in the downtown, so thank you for the report.
Thank you. Thank you. Councilman Milanese?
Just one final comment, just to kind of put it in the back of your head, would you ever consider taking title to the Hurd Street property and then swapping it out for a parcel over the Hamilton Canal so that you could actually put the police station over at the Hamilton Canal and trade off with a private user for Hurd Street? Just thinking about that, because this sounds, if they truly need 138,000 square feet, yes, you'd have to go up probably 3 or 4 stories. Yeah. And then parking, is an issue. But just, again, if we controlled it and then we could trade off, that just a
So
thought.
there is some clawback by DCAM if they give it to us for a deep discount. It would be for municipal purposes. And this is very preliminary conversation. We could say maybe we'll use it for something other than a police station, but what they wouldn't want us to do is turn around and flip it, because then we'd probably have to pay full market value. But it's something, thank you for that. We are certainly going to look at all aspects of what value it has to the city. Right now, based on the motion since we've been discussing it, it does seem that it certainly has some potential value for the city for us to explore fully with the state while it's available.
All set. Okay, thank you. Next, we have motion response is expanded boards and commissions. So by Councilor Noon, Councilor Kennedy. Councilor Noon.
I'll let Councilor Kennedy go first.
I'll let you go first, Council. Go ahead.
All right, thank you, Councilor Kennedy. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Madam Manager. And this is important because, we want to really, get the community involved, really more participation from the folk out there who want to be serve the city, they want to serve the city, either be as a board or alternate or associate for this matter. So the report indicated that you have, Madam Managers, add additional associate and or alternate to the planning, conservation, and zoning. Are those 3 board in full capacity at this point? What are they, what are the member in each one of those board, Madam Manager?
I will turn this over to the solicitor. I know the solicitor's office has been working on this aspect. I believe everyone in those boards that you just mentioned is at full capacity. Sometimes, we'll change, we'll get a letter, and then we'll have to post, but, so we can find out the status of those exact boards, but my understanding is those are at capacity.
I believe, Counselor, they are at capacity with exception to the Conservation Commission, and that's just with exception of the expansion. Otherwise, they are at full capacity. And as well as, I believe the library is at full capacity as expanding.
Where are we at? How about the license commission? What are the membership there, and is there any additional associate or alternate being added to it?
I believe License Commission is, that has been expanded, and I believe it is at full capacity.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you for the report. I appreciate it. So thank you.
Councilor Kennedy, you all set?
Yeah, I'm pretty much all set. I can remember a time when there would be competition to serve on these boards, but that time is gone, and I think it's very difficult to get people to serve on certain boards, and it's not something that's just in the city. I think that's statewide, just everywhere. Every community has trouble. There was something in the Globe, I think, this morning about some guy that changed his name to Nobody, and he's running for mayor. I think that was I thought that was in the Globe this morning. And he's running for mayor, and he's on the ballot as Nobody. So you can vote for two other people, or you can vote for him. Which, I don't really know what that has to do with any of this, other than it just came into my head, but because I read it this morning, but anyways, it's magical. I think, what we should try to do is think of ways to reach out to different groups of people that we're really not reaching right now, and see whether or not those groups are interested. And once again, I would just point to, for the Latino community, I would point to the pastors. I really think the pastors are the ones that connect with the Latino community probably better than anybody else. But I also think that, it's time to try to get other groups. And it's because we have opportunities in some of those boards, I think that's a place where we should strive for more diversity than what we have right now.
Thank you. Councilman Nazzo, then Councilor
Thank you. It is a good report, and, I congratulate those that are willing to serve on boards and commissions, because they put in a lot of time. But I did want to share with my colleagues one experience that I had last month. It was a petition before the Zoning Board of Appeals, and at the last minute, the meeting was canceled because they had lack of a quorum. Again, understood, things come up and so forth, so the meeting ended up being canceled. 2 weeks later, back before the Zoning Board of Appeals, and we were told that those of you that want to wait another 2 weeks, you can withdraw for 2 weeks because you need a unanimous vote from everybody that was assembled. It wasn't a simple majority, you need a unanimous vote. So again, that becomes a little bit of a problem, and I think everybody stayed, and I think it all went fine, but at the end of the day, to have it canceled and then you need a unanimous vote. So again, I don't know what the status of the zoning board is or other boards, but I just wanted to share that with my colleague, because it does happen. It clearly does happen.
Well, thank you, and we'll look into that. I know we also had heard about the Veterans Commission having canceled a number of meetings for various reasons, and LTC was concerned because they were ready to film and they were getting last-minute notices that it was canceled. So we're trying to work through those so that there's better communication and notification, and finding out why they can't hold the meetings. So we'll look into the ZBA.
I guess I never heard where you had to have a unanimous vote. I thought it was if a majority was there, it was a majority of those voting. But they said you needed to have everybody, supporting your project in order for it to go forward.
Okay.
So
we'll check that out.
Councilor Elliott?
I know we've talked about this in the past, and it seems that we have some boards that there is interest and some that are not. But I think the biggest impediment to getting people to volunteer, and maybe that is dropping off because people are more busy or whatever the case may be, but I think the biggest impediment is people don't know what is available. And how do we get that? I've gone into several communities and they post it close to the employment opportunities. So if people are looking for a job or what can they do in the community, they are posted there. And I know we have a lot of boards and commissions, but is there a way for us to keep that updated so people may on a regular basis, hey, I want to get involved? Or when we're asked, check out the website on kind of a regular basis because these are the openings that do take place on a board. I don't know if there's a program that if a term expires, because I know it could be labor and time.
Yeah, we have been posting them on our website, and if people are looking, it's under the tab Advisory Board and Commission Vacancies.
Okay.
So we post, and we also send them to the nonprofits, and
Is that on the clerk's page, or is it just a standalone?
this is
I
on,
believe it's under the boards and commissions.
It's under the boards and
commissions, but it's entitled Vacancies, Boards, Commissions,
Right.
Vacancies.
And that's updated, we're going to try to.
Every time we're trying to post everything as it comes across,
Yeah.
For instance, if we get a letter, from the Hunger Homeless Commission, someone stepping down, we'll then post for that. And it's just an example.
And who manages that, through your office? Madam
HR.
Manager?
HR
Okay,
does
good.
the
That's good to know.
postings.
I think that will help.
And we're also trying to send it to nonprofits and to a network, and I think the suggestion of to pastors, we're just trying to push it out to as many partners in the community as we can when there are, and that's, and then when we do get interest, then we set up a interview committee who will interview each applicant and then make recommendations, so.
That's good to know. Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? No, thank you. That was a good motion, and it truly is the sign of the time, so whatever else we can do, Madam Manager, to get that information out. Thank you. Before we go into informational reports, it's time for the general public hearing. I'd like to go to 4.1. Order vacate, discontinue, and abandon portion of Father Morissette Boulevard. I'd like to open the hearing for those who want to speak in favor. Anyone want to speak in favor?
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, I'm Craig Thomas. I'm the Deputy Director for the Planning Department and resident of Princeton Boulevard in Lowell. I'm here to speak in favor of this motion to vacate and discontinue a portion of Father Morissette Boulevard as a critical milestone in moving forward with the swap with the National Park Service. This has been going on for quite some time, and we've come to a moment where we have the opportunity to make substantial progress and move forward with this vote. In your packets, you have a map of the area of Father Morissette. This is north of Aiken Street. We're proposing to discontinue a very small portion where there are approximately 20 parking spaces. There's a bike lane, a drive lane for vehicles, and parking spaces. And the proposal is to discontinue the portion where the vehicle parking spaces are. That will revert to the adjacent owner, which is the City of Lowell, and that we will then use this area for bus parking for the National Park. We've talked about the National Park swap many times. It involves car parking and bus parking. The car parking has always been proposed to go in the garage in the Hamilton Canal District. The bus parking and its location has been a holdup for us for some time. We believe that this is a well-thought-out solution. It's not without some modest trade-offs. We've looked into the revenue we get from those parking spaces. It's surprisingly small, actually about $1,800 per year. And we've looked at the traffic implications of the area remaining parking, driving, and bikes, but using a small section of the additional roadway for the bus parking. We believe this is not a traffic concern, that there's very little in the way of trade-off for the parking spaces, and this is a very positive solution and one that we can control and move forward with very quickly to resolve and take the next step with the National Park land swap.
Okay. Councilor Noon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If I hear correctly, this is part of the land swap with the National Park, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So Mr. Thomas just spoke to, that there will not be any impact on the traffic in that area, Father Moore said, not whatsoever.
No, the buses would park there while their, passengers were at the National Park Visitor Center, and then the buses would go pick them up.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Further questions? Thank you. Thank you. Councilor Leahy?
Thank you. Just one other question. So the buses are gonna be parked there overnight and weekends, and whenever they're not in use, they'll be parked?
No.
No?
Oh, go ahead.
So the national park will have some flexibility with the spaces, but the overwhelming majority of the use will be Monday through Friday between about 10 and 2, which is when school groups drop off there. We will not and cannot restrict that, so they can be there at other times, but the overwhelming majority, just as they are now, are the school kids who are dropped off at the Songus and they park currently at the Hamilton Canal District.
Okay, thank you.
All set? Okay. Anyone else who wants to speak in favor? In favor? That portion is closed. Anyone who wants to speak in opposition? 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 That portion is closed. I'd like a yes, Councilor, Madam Manager?
Just briefly, as the council is well aware, the land swap issue has been on the docket here on the agenda for many years. We've been bogged down with issues and sometimes unresolvable issues between the various entities. There was the attempt to put this parking out in the vicinity of the LRTA. Unfortunately, despite best efforts of all, that has proven to be not workable because of the conflicting needs, whether it's the MBTA, the LRTA, and the National Park, in all of their demands as far as easements and the language. And so lawyers have been working on this, as I said, for a few years, trying to work this out. We are in the ground building this garage. We need to have this garage done and finished, and it is of prime importance that we finalize an option that everybody can agree to. The proposal before the council tonight is one that everyone has come to agreement on, and so it's a major step, not just for the garage, which the land swap is necessary for us to complete and have access to the garage, but to 2 lots out there, lots 14 and 15, which we have, the National Park owns those lots, and those are the lots we will be swapping. And the reason that's important is those 2 lots are of top interest for developers looking at the Hamilton Canal, both lots, because of their location. And so it will be critical to the future development out there as well. At the present time, we can't negotiate those 2 lots because we don't own them. But once we do own them, so it's twofold. It's the garage, finishing the garage, getting access to the garage, but also having title to those 2 lots that will be very, very marketable for the city.
Councilor Kennedy?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I move that we refer this matter to the clerk's office for 7 days.
Thank you. Favor? Thank you. Next, we go to informational reports. Election system panel event, Monday, October 7th. Madam Manager.
Thank you. I wanted to, obviously that happened last night. We put it in the packet so everybody would know last week that was going to happen last night. But I did want to, we did put on everyone's desk tonight a Lowell voter information guide. It looks like this. It's 2-sided. This question came up, I believe Councilor Elliott had asked if we were considering doing a mailer to voters. We took that idea and suggestion back and discussed that. It does appear to be the only assured way that we can reach every registered voter in the city of Lowell. And so my office, through Phil Jeffroy, prepared this information, which does a couple of things. It tells the voters, it explains the ballot questions that will be on the ballot in connection with the voting rights settlement. It explains ranked choice voting. It explains what the vote means, and it gives the exact language that they will see on their ballot. as well as district at large and hybrid systems. So there is an explanation of that, what the vote means, and exact text on it. In addition, there is question 3 that's going to be on the ballot, and that is the adoption of the Community Preservation Act. Likewise, it will have that information. It does have information as to where voters can access translations of each of these, and this is, as I said, we have heard from people saying, when will we see what the question looks like? I think voters are typically used to receiving something from the Secretary of State when it's a statewide ballot or election, so they get a pamphlet, and in this case, it's a municipal question. So in order to be completely thorough of trying to outreach, as you know, we've had sessions at the senior center, we've had presentations here, we'll have another one here as well. The elections office has had tables, as I mentioned, at the back to school event. We also will have other efforts out in the public to reach voters. But this we have priced this, and we expect this to go out probably the end of next week. So right now, in terms of the households that it would go to, it's about 34,000 households who would receive this in the mail. Again, I think it's important that the council has this, and so that we can make sure people are aware of the election day, November 5th, and also what to expect from the ballot.
Councilor Kennedy, then Councilor Elliott.
Great job on this, Madam Manager.
Councilor Elliott.
No, I concur. I think this is exactly what the voters, it's very similar to what the state does, and exactly what what I thought would be helpful to residents. I just wanted to note there is a good explanation on question 3. And I think it'd be important to just note in the section what your vote means if it's reiterated that an additional 1% excise on top of the annual tax levy. I think the summary is good, but I think when people go down and look at the short answer, I think it'd be helpful to just reiterate that. But I think the explanations on the question 1 and question 2 are very thorough, and I think people will understand what they're voting on. There'll be a lot less absence or blanks, if you will. So thank you, Madam Manager. I think it was done very well.
Thank you. Councilor Conway.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, I want to echo what my colleagues have said as far as a good job to communicate with the voters. And I know that you've tried in different ways by having the meetings, but I think those meetings are not generating a number of people. They're relatively small when we're talking about 66,000 voters. I don't see any other way that you have to mail in. Now, is that like going to be one per household? Is that how it?
Yes, it's going to be one per household. Sometimes there's 2 or 3 voters per household, but we have householded it so that.
And what's the estimated cost on that? Do you know?
I am going to say somewhere around $20,000.
And is it different languages for the?
Yeah, well, what it has is a
Just to let
translation
people know
as to
what
where
they're-
they can go to get all of this translated.
Okay.
It wasn't possible to send a multiple page, but
Right.
it does tell people where, in each language, where they can access this translation in
Okay.
their language.
Great. Good job. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have pavement marking. Madam Manager.
Yeah, there's a updated report from Natasha Vance regarding the pavement marking. Looks like it ran into some rain. I don't know, Natasha, if anybody has questions, but there will be, not this week, I guess, but there will be further scheduling when it's not raining. This has to be done at night, and...
Yes, typically we meet at about 9 p.m. and start painting about 9:30, 10 p.m. Once the truck is all squared away, we have a police detail And then we try to start in the more remote or less traveled roads. Unfortunately, I think a lot of the roads that we were striping, I was basing it on LPD recommendations for areas that they found particularly unsafe, where they'd noticed an increase in accidents due to missing lane markings. So we did a bunch of white lines and didn't get to the double yellow center lines, which are a big concern and definitely need to be done in a lot of places. So I've asked for another night from our contractor. Right now, he's has not given me a date, so I actually emailed him again today. So hopefully by next council meeting, I'll know what that date is, and we'll get lucky and have some good weather, and it won't get cold and it won't rain, and we'll be able to get the double yellow center line striped in a lot of parts of the city. So we did have to stop a number of times for rain, so I was pretty happy that we actually got as much done as we did.
Councilor Leahy?
Joe, this is great. These intersections were trouble, okay? But next year, we have to stop this, I don't know where it comes from, but this has to be done in the summer months. We can't wait until October 8th. And the other thing I've asked, previous administrations, how much do we need to get this done? Because this is just, a little every year isn't the way to do it. So let's figure out what we need for next year. Let's get the contract signed in June and ready to go July 1st and get them done. Traffic is a big issue for all of us as councilors. We need to get it done. We can't wait until August, so.
Yeah, so we did paint one night in June as well. We had
No, I know,
a lot of trouble with rain. Again, I mean, this is my second year trying to do this, and my first year I rescheduled 4 different times trying to get it in before the contract expired June 30th and with the rain. And I agree with you. I think I frequently hear from residents who have issues. They can't see the double yellows. They can't see the edge lines. It's a public safety concern. I actually have started trying to figure out exactly how much money we would need if we were to restripe everywhere. It's kind of a monumental task to get that number together. So, but yeah, hopefully we'll get another painting in October. And then like this year I started trying to schedule it in April, and we just kept, it's just very challenging.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many companies there are out there. I mean, maybe they're stretched out all across the state either, but it is, as councils, we hear it every day, and the lines need to be done. So if we can get a better jump on this, whatever. I understand what you're saying, you started months ago, but.
Nope, I absolutely agree. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All set? Thank you.
And I can attest that the day after this, Natasha was bleary-eyed out to 3 in the morning, so.
All right, next we have bond sale and budgetary savings. Madam Manager?
Yes, this information that's in the packet explains what we think is very good news. It updates the council regarding the most recent bond sale. This was, we had recently done a call with Standard & Poor's to, again, review our rating, and I think I'm going to turn this over to Connor Baldwin, but the numbers are very encouraging based on our ability to refinance some existing debt and the savings that we can realize. And I'll turn it over to Connor, and then I'll comment on some of the things that we heard from Standard & Poor's and why they've rated us as a strong fiscal management. So, Mr. Baldwin.
Thank you, Madam Manager. It's noteworthy to the council that the city sold $56.2 million in bonds earlier in September. The lion's share of the debt that was sold was to finance the Hamilton Canal Garage project. So it's important that the city has a good credit rating to get a low interest rate on the debt that we sell. So it came in at about 2.5%. And just for the sake of comparison, today's 30-year fixed mortgage rate is about 3 3/4. So when a municipality sells debt, it's about the business equivalent for a municipality of buying a home or refinancing a home, and that's the second component of what happened. The city refinanced some of our outstanding debt, and because of our improved credit standing, was able to save just shy of $1 million in debt service over the term of the debt that was outstanding. Because of the size of the bond that was issued, the $56 million, the premium that was generated on that bond, the city applied to the principal of the garage debt, so we were able to bring down the amount of debt that was needed, further saving another $1.4 million for a total savings to the city of $2.4 million due to the sale.
Thank you. And I just want to point out, you know, in our call and the communications with Standard & Poor's, some of the things that they relied on and cited was strong fiscal management and great practices and procedures here. They also took note on the investments that are happening in the city and were very favorable, including the city investing in an infrastructure. That was an important consideration in terms of all of the infrastructure improvements that are ongoing and will be ongoing. So, but I do want to give credit to the finance team for once again exhibiting, you know, just very, very strong fiscal management and practices, which is resulting in real cost savings to the city of Lowell. So $2 million that we would have been spending, we have saved through this process. So credit to the finance team.
Councilor Elliott?
I want to concur with the manager and Connor Baldwin. I think this administration and really, quite frankly, prior administrations over many years, I think what's worthy to note is the competition for this bid. There were 8 bidders that were looking to participate, and I think that, as was mentioned in Moody's and Standard & Poor's, a reflection of the financial stability and the strong fiscal management that the manager mentioned. And maintaining the AA bond rating is not an easy feat year after year. It's constant oversight, following practices and policies that were put in place. So, and again, you know, budgetary performance, sustaining our reserves, the debt liability, all of these factors that we don't take for granted, but it's focused by the administration, and I think it's important. I'd like to refer this, if there's no objections, to my colleagues. I'd like to delve into some more of this information that I think is, you know, very important. As and one of those is, and it's mentioned in here, Lowell's weakness with the OPEB liability, and that's the pension. It's, you know, there's not, as mentioned, there's not a plan in place, and I think it'd be important to look at that and how we can, it's not a weakness, but they do cite it, and I do think it's important, as it's 15.9% of our fund expenditures. So the other question is, we're going out, the report mentions that next June, we're looking at, so the $4.4 million in bond anticipation notes, is that for the 120 that we're looking to spend next year, or June 2020, the city is looking to go out to bond for $120 million for the high school?
The bands that were part of this sale were related almost exclusively to outstanding debt for water and sewer.
Oh, so this is prior, got it, okay.
Right, which we're not financing through the trust. For engineering services, those are ineligible to go through the Massachusetts Clean Water Trust, so the city rolls the notes on our own.
So next June will be, the anticipation is to go out for 120 for the new high school. That's what the report says.
That's correct.
Okay.
But not all at once.
Okay.
Yeah, we can get your report.
I think that's why it should go to the finance subcommittee if there's no objection, because that's what the report does reflect, and I think there's a lot more information.
So you're making a motion to?
Second.
Second by Councilor Leahy.
Mr. Baldwin, if you want to comment, it wouldn't be all at one time?
Sure. Thank you, Madam Manager, Mr. Mayor. It's important to note that as we finance the high school, we will fund the high school project through the phases. So it won't be that the city will sell all $128 million of the local share all at once. We will fund each phase as we go through at a pro rata share of the state's portion and the city's portion. So for each phase of the project, we will fund approximately 20% of that phase in notes to be permanently financed at the most advantageous time according to the market.
And one other point, that when we spoke with S&P, we did talk about the policy that this council had put into place last year about funding 5% of free cash to OPEB. We realize it's a small amount toward a big amount of debt, but they were pleased that the council had adopted a policy to address that. They commented about that.
Yeah, I think that's just another reflection of our financial stability and putting plans in place for when there is free cash and our reserves. So, well done. This is very good news for the city, and a credit to you and the administration. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilor Conway?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just very briefly, again, I want to echo what has been really said, and the fact that I congratulate you, Madam Manager, and you also, Connor Baldwin, with the team. And it's not done certainly by two individuals. It is a team effort that puts this together. And talk about some creativity to be able to come up with a savings of over $2 million, which I think is so very important. I think that there are people out there that perhaps don't understand that AA meaning as far as the rating is concerned. Can you just take a minute, Connor, to explain how really important and what a great rating that we actually do have? And, and I think you touched on certainly what this rating actually means for the city too, and how it benefits it as far as a lower rates and so forth. But if you...
Thank you, Councilor. So the rating that a municipality receives on a debt sale is very similar to, as I said before, a person's credit score when they're trying to buy a home. And the ratings that are attached to municipalities reflect the investment, the folks that would be investing in the bonds, assessment of the risk in investing in a community. So they run the range of what is considered prime or investment grade AAA, which is as high as it gets, all the way down to D or junk bonds. So the city carries a AA rating, which is considered upper medium grade, and that's under the State Qualified Bond Act. There is an underlying rating of AA minus, which puts us in a attractive investment pool when we go out to bid for debt.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Good job.
All right, Councilor Lee, Councilor Milazzo.
I just wanted to echo the remarks. It's a great report. We're in good shape, and you've made everybody happy here, especially Councilor Elliott. So he loves this stuff, so thank you.
Councilor Milazzo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It is a very good report, so congratulations to the financial management team. If you look at the bold headlines in the report where it talks about very strong management, strong budgetary performance, adequate budgetary flexibility, very strong liquidity, very strong debt and contingent liability profile, and strong institutional framework, all very positive for the city. And it's also based upon some of the economic development that we've seen over the last few years, where we've had hundreds of millions of dollars of investment, which broadens our commercial base, which obviously strengthens the commercial tax base in the city. We are talking about next June 2020, where we're looking at bonding $120 million, but that's just not for the high school. It's for the rest of the water and sewer, as well as other capital programs. And as you said, Madam Mayor, and Chief Financial Officer Connor Baldwin, the high school is going to be done over a period of time, a period of fiscal years. And I think the actual cost right now in the high school is about $133 million over that for probably a 4 fiscal year period.
Probably almost 6.
Almost
Yep.
6, okay.
From 2020 to 2026 is,
Right.
As far as the final phase.
Okay.
The amount for each one, we
Right.
we could get to, but, and It could be 127 million for the
Again, I think it's
city's
important to
share.
send this to the finance subcommittee because we do want to make sure that the capital projects that we're well talked about and looking out for 5 years are adequately funded, and we can afford to do that. We're still $15 or $16 million under the tax levy. So I mean, again, very strong position as we get this report. So again, AA and AA minus are very good. The communities across the Commonwealth would be envious to have those, that rating. So again, congratulations.
All right, thank you. Next, we have loan forgiveness, Madam Manager.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, more good news. Again, I'll turn this over to Connor Baldwin, our CFO, but as you can see, it's additional savings based on the loan forgiveness for wastewater capital projects. So, Connor.
Thank you, Madam Manager. And in somewhat different than the last item, this is more of a grant program, and I think a great deal of thanks is owed to the state and to the Treasurer's Office specifically for running this program and for allowing communities like Lowell to participate in the Massachusetts Clean Water Trust. The trust has been in existence for some time and has had a number of different names, but allows communities to participate under their debt rating. So we're able to get a very low interest rate. Even with the good credit that we spoke about, we're able to get 2% almost all the time with the debt that we sell to fund water projects, sewer projects, and we've talked about the importance of those projects and updating the city's underground infrastructure over the course of the past year. But this particular component, at time to time, the Treasurer's Office forgives principal of a certain amount and gears it towards those gateway communities like Lowell. There were 2 specific projects for the West Street flood storage and improvements to the wastewater treatment plant where approximately $1.2 million in principal was forgiven, meaning we don't have to pay it back. So that's great news for the city, and all in all, with the avoided interest is about $1.5 million that we've been able to save thanks to this program.
Councilor Mercer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Connor Baldwin. Did we apply for the forgiveness, or did they notify us that they forgave us the?
This is an application process, and throughout the capital program in water and sewer, the engineers work with the folks at the water and sewer plant to apply, so it is something that is more of a grant process.
So if we didn't apply, we would have nothing ventured, nothing gained, but someone took the liberty to go out after this and we got it. So that is remarkable. So what we're hearing this evening is good news all around. So thank you so much. This is good.
And I want to credit Mark Young and his team for being on top of looking at these.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Then we have the year-to-date budget report. Madam Manager.
Once again, I'm going to turn this over to the CFO. This is something that typically this time of year would be, I think, the auditor would give a report, but because we don't have a permanent auditor, Connor put this together, so I will turn this over.
Thank you, Madam Manager. So in keeping pace with what is policy here in the City Council chambers, this is the report that the Council receives quarterly from the Office of the City Auditor. If there are any questions, please let me know. We are currently on pace, about 25% of the budget. I believe that there was a motion perhaps some months ago to communicate this to the school department side, and we will do so.
Councilor Elliott.
Thank you for this report. It's important to get this information, especially in the absence of an auditor. Everything seems to be on track, and that's good news. No objection. I'll refer this to the Finance Subcommittee as well, just to get into the details a little bit more. But there is note that school expenditures from the report are listed as negative. Some of those are just expenses that take place at the beginning of the expenditures take place at the beginning of the year, and then it carried through. Can you just, do you want to just explain?
Sure. So with the school department budget, it has often been the case that the auditing department watches just the the bottom line of the school department so that the school department stays within the single lump sum appropriation from the city council in the budget. It is often the case that some of the accounts, because they have so many budgetary accounts, run into the deficit. By communicating this report to them, it's an opportunity for them to clean some of those up. But we've been communicating with the school department on those specific accounts.
Thank you. But as was noted, these regular reports are part of our Standard & Poor's and our Moody ratings that we are monitoring and keeping a close eye on revenues, as well as, how we're matching up with our expenditures. So, thank you, Connor.
Councilor Elliott has a motion to refer to the Finance Committee, second by Councilor Noon. Thank you. All set. I need a motion to accept and place on file by Councilor Kennedy, second by Councilor Conway. Next, we have 5.3, Communication. City Manager requests out-of-state travel for one member of the library, one member of DPD. I need a motion to adopt.
Move to adopt.
Councilor Kennedy, second by Councilor Noon. Roll call.
Council Cirillo, Council Conway.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Council Kennedy.
Yes.
Council Leahy.
Yes.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Milonazo.
Yes.
Council Noon.
Yes.
Mayor Samaras.
Yes.
8 yeas.
Okay, next we have vote to accept and expand Green Communities 2019 competitive grant. Waive the full reading, second reading by title. Authorize the city manager to accept and expend a Green Communities 2019 competitive grant from the Massachusetts Department of Energy Resources to implement energy savings measures to save energy throughout the city's municipal buildings. I need a motion to adopt by Councilor Kennedy, second by Councilor Milonazo. Roll call.
Council Cirillo. Council Conway.
Yes.
Council Elliott.
Yes.
Council Kennedy.
Yes.
Council Leahy.
Yes.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Milonazo.
Yes.
Council Noon.
Yes.
Mayor Samaras.
Yes.
8 yeas.
Councilor Elliott? Yeah.
I just want to say we're on a roll tonight. I know Henry is a city magician, but maybe Connor can be King Midas because you seem to touch and money appears. So, could you just explain, because it's money we receive from a grant, but the savings that we're going to achieve in a number of the schools is really very, very.
Yeah, Catherine
substantial.
Moses is here, and credit, this is $246,000 that will result in savings to the schools in terms of the energy costs. So we're happy to have applied for and gotten that. Catherine, if you want to address the grant.
Yes, thank you so much for the opportunity, Madam Manager. Thank you so much for pointing this out, Councilor Elliott. We applied for a grant from the Green Communities. We did get $246,000 or so, and it's going to be used to finish our interior lighting at our Riley Elementary School and our Maury Elementary School. So all of the lighting in both of those schools will be completely upgraded. What we think we're really excited about and where our greatest energy savings is going to be is in the retro commissioning projects that we're going to be doing at the Stocklosa School and Maury. These projects will allow us to take a look at our HVAC systems and our control systems, and the things that aren't working properly, we're going to get to start working properly and put processes in place to help us maintain them better in the future as well. So we're really excited about those prospects and looking forward to getting started.
Yeah, it's huge. It's all good stuff. But I think this is what sets us apart. We apply and we write very good grants. So,
Yeah, and as I said, credit to Catherine Moses, who doesn't miss a trick when it comes to looking for money. So thank you.
Councilor Leahy?
This is great news. And again, as Councilor Elliott said, we're saving money. Here's some more money to paint the lines in the streets, right? So we're on a roll tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Next, 6.2, vote to accept, expend fiscal 19 comprehensive opioid abuse site-based grant. Waive the full reading, second reading by title. Authorize the city manager on behalf of the city of Lowell to accept and expend a grant from the Department of Justice Bureau of Justice Assistance regarding the fiscal 2019 comprehensive opioid abuse site-based program grant award in this amount of $900,000 over a 3-year period for the use by the city of Lowell Police Department. Any discussion? My Councilor?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is really wonderful, this amount of $900,000 for a period of 3 years to fund a youth service coordinator. We have a lot of young people that are out on the street that are homeless. You don't probably realize it, but it isn't only adults that are on the street, it's our youth. But also, when I see what goes on with the co-op team each and every day, the number one issue is to fund transportation costs for the clients to be able to go to a detox. Very, very difficult to do. This is a gap that needs to be filled, and through this grant, that will happen, as well as getting identification cards for clients. It's very, very difficult, and how can you pay for it when you don't have any money? How can you get an identification card when you have to show proof of where you live and you don't have a place to live? It's very, very difficult. So to coordinate this together, this is very important. You fill in the gaps in the holes by this grant, and I'm very, very grateful. Thank you.
Councilor Noon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to, this is great news, really. I want to congratulate Chief Richardson and his team. I agree with Councilor Mercier. This 3-year grant not only enhance the co-op team, but also expand it. And not only that area, but also the youth coordinator or the youth service providers. This is great for the city for 3 years. So I congratulate the chief and his team for this.
Yes, Madam Manager.
I just want to, again, echo the comments and recognize Mary Ann Bellata, who's here, who's instrumental in finding money again. Congratulations. This is much needed, as has been said here tonight. So to have this $900,000 available to us is wonderful.
Yes, thank you. I need a motion to adopt.
Move to adopt.
By Councilor Kennedy, second by Councilor Noon. Roll call.
Council Cirillo, Council Conway.
Yes.
Council Elliott.
Yes.
Council Kennedy.
Yes.
Council Leahy. Yes. Council Mercier.
Yes.
Council Milonazo.
Yes.
Council Noon.
Yes.
Mayor Samaras.
Yes.
8 yeas.
Next, we have vote to expend fiscal 19 Justice and Mental Health Collaboration Program grant. Waive the full reading, second reading by title. Authorize the city manager on behalf of the city of Lowell to accept and expend a grant from the Department of Justice, Bureau of Justice Assistance regarding the fiscal year 2019 Justice and Mental Health Collaboration Program grant award in the amount of $606,656 over a 3-year period for the use of the City of Lowell Police Department. Any discussion? Councilor Mercier?
Thank you. This is very important, too, because when you think about homeless, you don't stop to think about the mental illness aspect of it. And I remember many years ago when Councilor Caulfield and then Mayor Richard Howe served all of us together, and they were closing down Solomon Mental Health, and the 3 of us went to Boston to the Department of Mental Health, and we actually pleaded and begged, please don't close this place. Needless to say, they did not support our ideas, but it left a lot of people on the street with no one to monitor their drug, and I mean medical intake of their prescriptions, and no one was there to help them. So this is a very, very important, but if I could just ask, through this program, is there anyone in the Lowell Police Department who could monitor the ongoing efforts to see where and how this money is helping the clients, such as like a quarterly report to see the ongoing happenings of this grant, like keep a track to let us know what's happening here?
Yes, good evening. Thank you, everyone. We are partnering with UMass Lowell as a research partner that will help us really track the progress and track the results.
Yes, I'm not concerned about the names or whatever,
Yes.
but how many people are being serviced and what is their progress? This is very important to me. I'd like to just know that. So if you could share that information with the council, and I'm not saying every week or month, but quarterly would be nice, just to get a report as to what's happening with this grant. I think that's important.
We can
Thank
certainly
you.
do that with de-identified information.
Sure.
We have some hurdles to go through before we actually are able to implement.
Sure.
Contracting and hiring clinicians and training throughout the police department as well. But we can certainly, once we're up and running, get de-identified data to the
That's
council.
wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks for all your help.
You're welcome.
You do a great job.
Thank you.
We have Councilor Noon, then Councilor Elliott. Councilor Noon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Certainly, this is another great news for the city of Lowell. This is about partnership between really Best Israel Behavioral Health Service, and as indicated, that we partner with UMass Lowell to evaluate the success of this program. More important than that, not too long ago, this administration's working on the homelessness, and you have coordinator that the city agreed to hire, the council vote to do that, and so this working together to address this issue is not only a mental health issue, opium epidemic, but also other issues that address the homelessness in our city. Really is a great news for the city overall. I commend the managers and the team for this successful.
Thank you. Councilor Elliott.
This is a critical component of, you talk to police officers on the street, and what they need is, when they arrive to a scene, more often than not, there are mental health issues, and dealing with them and identifying them and getting these individuals the proper help. This is transportation and hiring these two clinicians. This, like the last one, is just part of the whole comprehensive process of combating the opioid. I know we talk about getting drugs off the street and saving lives, but this is the other piece which has been absent, but with this grant funding, I think we're taking giant steps moving forward. Again, the police officers, they on the street, a lot of mental health issues, and was mentioned before, it's going to fill a gap, but this is an important component, as I mentioned, to getting the people the help that they need, and partnering with Beth Israel Leahy. I think it's huge.
Thank you. Councilor Conway.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just very briefly, I want to congratulate, again, the team, because there's so much good news tonight. When we're talking about the grant and how very important it is in combating mental health issues. And I think that if we take a look at that, mental health issues, it's the nucleus of so many problems, whether it's alcohol, drugs, abuse, homelessness. It is the nucleus of it. So again, I think that what we're doing here is we're attacking the real problem. There's one thing about treating these problems, but unless we actually can treat the mental health issue, these other problems are not going to go away. So again, I think it's a great opportunity, great partnership, and I certainly look forward to some of the results and hearing how successful this will be. So again, I congratulate everyone on this.
Okay. Madam Manager.
Just quickly, I do want to again recognize Mary Ann Bellata for this $676,000 on top of the $900,000 that she just was responsible for. And as has been mentioned, both of these are key components for what the police department is fighting every day in the street, the homelessness situation. I know the task force, the Chief Richardson sat on the task force and had pledged the full support of the police department to try and tackle this with everybody in a partnership in the city. So again, thank you for all your great work.
I need a motion to adopt. So moved. Councilor Kennedy, second by Councilor Elliott. Roll call.
Council Cirillo, Council Conway.
Yes.
Council Elliott.
Yes.
Council Kennedy.
Yes.
Council Leahy.
Yes.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Milonazo.
Yes.
Council Noon.
Yes.
Mayor Samaras.
Yes.
8 yeas.
Next, vote to accept and expend park grant for renovation of Hovey Field. Authorize the city manager to apply to accept and expend a park land acquisition and renovation for Communities Park grant from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs, Division of Conservation Services, for the design and construction of a university acceptable playground in the city of Lowell at Hovey Field. Any discussion?
Move to adopt.
Move to adopt. I need a second by Councilor Noon. Roll call.
Counsel Cirillo. Counsel Conway.
Yes.
Counsel Elliott. Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Noon.
Yes.
Mayor Samaras.
Yes.
7 yeas.
Okay, next we have 6.5. Yeah, I'm sorry, Madam Manager.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Samaras. I just wanted to just quickly explain and recognize DPD for their work on this. As the council knows, some months ago, this was brought by the council asking us to look at Hovey Field, and credit goes to planning and development. The project itself will be $575,000, but they did apply again to the Commonwealth for a park grant, and we were awarded $400,000. This will be the first project where it will be fully accessible for young children, first playground in the city. The other $175,000 we anticipate will come from money earmarked for ADA transition that has already been earmarked. So I think it's great news for this area of the city, and particularly this playground, which when we did the inventory, we found it has some of the oldest playground equipment, and that's old, in the entire city, and in very tough shape. So this is going to be a full transformation for that playground. So Diane and her team, great job.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor.
I know that the Commission on Disabilities was involved with this as well. I'm very grateful for their input. Let me just say as well that this will be completed in 2 years. Fiscal year 20 will pay for the design. Fiscal year 21 will fund the construction of it. So I'm very grateful because this is well needed. It is park equipment that's very, very outdated, and they're going to have a beautiful handicap accessible park. Thank you.
All set? Okay. Next, we have vote declare surplus 20 Favor Street and seek proposals under Mass General Law 30B. Declaring the surplus property located at 20 Favor Street, Lowell, Mass, and authorizing the city manager to seek proposals under the provision of Mass General Law, Chapter 30B, for the disposition of said parcel, namely 20 Favor Street, Lowell. I need a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
I'm sorry, wait a minute. Okay.
Second.
All right, Councilor Mercia, sorry, lost my place here for a minute. Roll call.
Counsel Conway. Excuse me, Counsel Cirillo. Counsel Conway.
Yes.
Counsel Elliott. Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Noon.
Yes.
Mayor Samaras. 7 yeas.
Next, finally, 6.6, vote transfer of funds to continue cemetery projects. Waive the full reading, second reading by title. Order to transfer $75,000 in funds to continue various cemetery projects. Need a motion to adopt by Councilor Kennedy, second by Councilor Noon. Roll call.
Counsel Cirillo. Counsel Conway.
Yes.
Counsel Elliott. Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Noon.
Yes.
Mayor Samaras.
Yes.
7 yeas.
I just want to commend the city manager and her team. I mean, this was a number of votes from the city manager that we had to make tonight, and I think the city did very well tonight. Thank you very much for this. Are there any subcommittee reports? No, hearing none. Next, we have 7.1, Wire Inspector, National Grid, Verizon, New England requests relocation of 2 JO poles on Varnum Avenue, Old Ferry Road. I need a motion to accept and adopt company order
So
by
moved.
Councilor Kennedy, second by Councilor Noon. Next, we have petitions, claims, 2 property damage. Motion to refer to Law Department for report and recommendation
So moved.
by Councilor Kennedy, second by Councilor Noon. And under miscellaneous, Cody's Market requests installation of 15-minute parking sign in front of 175 Salem Street. Motion to refer to traffic engineer for report
So moved.
recommendation by Councilor Kennedy, second by Councilor Lee.
Your Honor,
Yes.
question, through you to the manager. Can we, do we have any policy on this? Because basically, you know, everybody could request a 15-minute parking. It's been happening more and more. And the more we give out, the more, so should we be looking at some sort of a policy that
Well, we pretty much wait for the report back from the traffic engineer, depending, who will look at what necessity and other parking or whether there's other things. So we could certainly look into that. We can consult the traffic engineer, but right now it's on a case-by-case basis.
All right, because I can understand this business, but someone else obviously could ask, and then one other quick thing, if we could just follow up on the Olympia restaurant, where that is when you come back with the report.
Yes.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I happen to know the people at Cody's Market, and they desperately need this, because there have been people, imagine you go into the store that's been in business for all these years, and you come out and you get a ticket in front of your car. Wouldn't that discourage someone? It would make me want to close the business down every time my customers were getting tickets. Same is happening to the Olympia. These are businesses that were with the city from day one, and yet we're going to start ticketing people.
We'll get you the report. I think the Olympia, the signs we're waiting from the sign shop, I think, but we'll get the report and we'll look into
So these two businesses need help. Thank you.
Councilor Kennedy, then Councilor Leahy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you to the city manager. Maybe if the policy is relaxed with the traffic department and they're a little bit more, a little more lenient than what they are, or less aggressive than what they are sometimes, that might take care of almost everything right there. I know of other businesses in the city in the past where, because of an aggressive parking person, they lost a lot of business. And so, I just think that that's worth considering as well.
Councilor Leahy.
I was just gonna say the same thing. It's just a matter of taking a look at where we're being too aggressive and where we need to be aggressive, and so if we can just take a look at that, that would solve the whole thing. Thank you.
Councilor Mercia.
I think that's why edible fruits is no longer here. And when I go to Subway down the street, I run in like a bugger and I run out hoping I don't get ticketed, but that's just me.
All set. All right, thank you. Next, we have the Charter Factory requests City Council abandon Paper Street adjacent to 101 Phoenix Avenue. I need a motion to refer to the Law Department for a report and recommendation.
So moved.
By Councilor Kennedy, second by Councilor Milonazo. Then finally, we have 8.4. Alvaro Rivera requests installation of an autistic child sign at 86 Wood Street. I need a motion to refer to the traffic engineer for report and recommendation by Councilor Mercia, second by Councilor Noon. Finally, we have Michael Perone requests installation of additional public restrooms throughout the city. Motion to refer to the Law Department for report and recommendation. Councilor Noon, second by Councilor Mercia. Announcements? Any announcements? Motion to adjourn? Okay. By Councilor Kennedy, second by Councilor Noon. Thank you.
All righty.